You know, a person recently asked again why I stopped doing videos. Because videos with me has always been stop and start. I've been doing them, not because I never really, and I've explained this so many times, I was never really a social media guy. Although once I started to do it, best in the world at it. If I can't do it well, or if I not that there's no can't, if I don't do it well, I'm simply not going to do it. I mean, in other words, if I do something, I'll only do it if I do it well. Like my beautiful, lovely hair. Some people call it straggly hair, but it triggers them anyway. Um, you know, but it's you know it the social media garbage of how many followers and views and all that. I mean, I've always been the sort of person I walk down the road and everybody's eyes are on me, and online, same damn thing. All these trolls and fucking fat bands and all these other worthless maggots that constantly troll me and constantly run to mommy and report me. The latest was, all I did was say Hitler had a cool stash, and he did. I mean, you know, and and of course, Ben Gay, being a Jewish Nazi, uh, went and fucking reported that, or Anyway, some of these idiots have been attacking our other website, rawmukuchi.com, and that one's down temporarily. But worry not, the posts are still all there. The site is very much there. It's just a matter of finding the time, because they did a pretty good hit job on that. It wasn't Ben, but it was, let's just say it was related to him and the midgetolly. Ben hates it when I use that term. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about, and you guys, whoever watches these videos, you already know the story of Ben Gay, and uh, last night I'm out there talking to a slave, and I've said this before, slaves, especially females, especially the one that I get them all that get so triggered by me, will always try and take advantage. She's standing out there. Society is so fucking gay. I am here like this. I make a pose like this, showing my strong, sexy arms off, and the world gets triggered. She is wearing this sort of, she's subcontinent, and she's wearing this dress that is like this, so it shows her cleavage until here, which is cool by me. I mean, you guys whine about what I say about women and all, but I'm not the guy telling them to wear burqas. Well, I told one of my Muslim slaves that. She didn't do it, which was fine, I don't care. But yeah, take personal responsibility. If you're going to do it and you get raped, you can't be running to a man. That it is what it is. But and I'm not saying rape is right, and but shit happens, So if all I'm saying is you need to take personal responsibility and accountability. You can't just expect men to help you and you'll do nothing for men, and then literally men give women CPR, and then these same fucking women turn around and sue them in court for indecent something. I mean, gay. Everything is so gay, man. I've been following this Andrew Tate thing, and guy's done nothing other than say fucking train extremely hard, and it's really, everybody talks about Tate and the so-called horrible misogynist that he is, but if you look at his content, it's mostly men. I mean, you don't even see there's a smattering of women around. But most of his content is men, so I don't know what they're talking about, And for that, simply because he worked extremely hard, 10 years, he got big, they put him in jail. The whole thing about Romania, the whole motherfucking mess is so convoluted that at this point, and I followed it because I follow these high-profile cases, and, I don't know if even Andrew Tate can make any sense of it, and The latest is that he's been, suddenly there was some weird. They didn't even look like regular police. They're like weird sort of police arrested him in Florida for some. Apparently initially he had 20 extradition charges. Now he's got 43, and so you would expect, it being America, that they would give him a trial within a couple of days at most. But it's been over a week, and he's been held in like conditions that fucking psychos and terrorists are held in. I think the fuck society is so fucking gay. Doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, what did the guy say? Nothing. Like, I can't find one single so-called misogynistic. I mean, all he says is take personal responsibility to both men and women. Weird. But this is what I want to talk about. Like, I said this back during the times of COVID and stuff, and I said, people just stopped talking to each other because the money started to dry up, and when that shoe starts to pinch, the veneer of civilization that we all put on, bang, boom, 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 it goes. That was a hunting rifle, by the way. Hunting season started a couple of weeks ago. Ben knows it, and now the Marines are out. And well, anyway, forget that. But and I kept saying, everybody is saying it now. Like, you see it all over social media. Like, all these people, like fucking Hunter Biden, one of the biggest idiots on the face of the planet, though not as much as our arrest and court jester Ben Gay, but almost quite there. Everybody's coming out and saying, we need to talk to each other. We need to sit down and understand. You probably heard, each other's viewpoint. I was saying it way back in 2020. I was saying it ever since I was born, and before I was saying it, I was writing it. If you can't put it in writing, like Freddie said, people can talk and they can get their point of view across, and they can, but to actually sit down and write something that people actually read is an art unto itself. Anyway, I don't want to talk about my world famous emails and writing abilities and all that, but and everything is extremely polarized and stuff, and I've been saying that forever. But the thing is, and this is something, I know this very well because it's happened to me since I was born. I was raised to be a slave to women. I never became that, and blah, blah, blah. And they will never give a masculine man a seat at the table. The minute a man stands up for himself, the minute a man demands a little something for himself, the minute a man wants to live his own life, he becomes a social pariah. You know why? Because, and yeah, I got these headphones on, it just blocks out noise and stuff. And you know why? Because at that point, he becomes the kind of a man every woman wants, but there's a chance he's like me, and once he gets the girl, he's not, because women will get you, they'll marry you, then they'll cock you, right? I've explained this before. And, some guys, they fail to do so, it's a very simple thing. And with women, and, I've explained the story of life is about choices. My so-called ex who went off of birth control to have her child, which, I wasn't having sex with her. I was called gay for that. Blah, 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 blah. My entire family spread the rumor. Blah, 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 blah. And I don't mind, call me gay, call me whatever the hell you want to call me. I don't give a shit, I don't care about that kind of stuff. I care about my own freedom of speech. And when that is attacked, I bring the guns out. Boom, boom, boom. But, and it was that again this morning, and we'll get into that. But, she got the choice to then, because I said, let's homeschool. And she said she didn't want to do it. And then she got the choice between my family, who wanted to control the child, and, me. And it wasn't anything to do with money. They made it seem like I said I wasn't going to pay, is what my dad told my ex in front of me. And then he says, "Oh, don't talk," when I tried to say something. And, constant, "Shut up, bro. Why the fuck should I shut up? I never said I wasn't going to pay. It's that fucking simple. It's a bunch of goddamn lies is what it is." And, that's just a family situation. So she chose them. And, it is what it is. Life's about choices. You made that choice. That's fine, But my point is, seat at the table. And so I understand this very well. You have the slaves. Everybody is a slave when they're born because you have a system around you. Some of us choose to escape. The 1%, 0.1%, whatever the hell you call it. The rest of the maggots, slaves, peasants, workers, whatever the hell, they'll all try and drag you down like this by the leg because they can see you're getting out and probably already gotten out. And they're jealous because they also know it takes a lot of hard work to do what you've done. Deep down inside, everybody knows what level everybody is at. You can talk all the shit in the world, but it shows. Right down to Ben's hanging man tits. But you have stuff like TikTok will ban accounts simply for speaking about people they consider offensive, like, let's say, Tate. That's why, I did one video on my thoughts on Andrew Tate. Just one. And it's on YouTube too, and, TikTok banned it. Account banned. Bang. Before that, I had plenty of violations, plenty of this, but they didn't really care, because I'd appeal it and it would come back. But the minute you talk about Tate, bang, boom, banned. YouTube, the story has been covered. They've been banned. Amazon, it's been covered on the 2 websites, and I don't want to explain it all again. And I'm sure Ben can do it. He loves doing it. YouTube, all I post is Hitler had a cool stash. Why can't I fucking say that? I mean, what's the difference between saying I'm the sexiest guy in the world and saying, let's say, Hitler looked sexy with his mustache, if I said that, which all I said was the stash. Because stashes trigger women big time, I remember this beautiful, lovely slave of mine say, she was talking in a derogatory, sort of pseudo-derogatory manner about a guy that lives, somewhere near. I was asking her, it was a long story, but she was referring to her in a colloquial term. She would never refer to either me or with me. I asked her, what am I? She was like, you're a master. And with him, it was sort of like a semi-fun way in which, certain people in certain parts of the world make fun of people with mustaches trying to look manly. Kind of like Ben. Ben is like this. So his triple chin doesn't sag and his man tits, and of course his, when he does neck movements, man, it's funny. The whole, the man tits shake, the belly shake. But, so, yeah, mustaches. And I've been thinking, should I grow one myself? But I'm like, I don't really want to. Yeah, I prefer this look, Dr. Mukherjee, Dr. Lecter. The psychos all prefer a clean-shaven look. If you look at the Red Dragon, I love the Red Dragon. It's not important what I am now. It's what I'm becoming. He looks so sweet, like a little child, when he says that. Especially when he bites the lips off. He looks awesome. And you see, because he looks like, he's like a little lamb lost. And Hannibal is, Hannibal Lecter is sort of visualizing it from his cell. And, it just gives me this rush of, I don't know, a little boy growing up, They once made that comment about me. I'm not gonna say why. Boy growing up into a man. And that was when I was really young. But yeah, this freedom of speech thing, I've been saying it, and I've been saying it forever. They're coming to enslave you. And, it's part of the reason I don't do videos, I don't talk, and not just videos, I don't really talk to people, I should say, because when I say these things to everybody and I provide every shred of evidence, proof, they nod their heads. Oh, yeah, but okay, so I'm like, nodding the head doesn't rock the boat, Mark Twain. What are you doing in your own life? And, it's like a big fat zero. So there's no point, they just want free conversation and somebody to listen to them, which is why, it's pointless. But, yeah. Everything is so fucking gay, everything's, and, back to the seat at the table, what they want to do is they want to kill, ultimately, voices that actually talk sense. That's what they want to do. If not the people themselves, the voices. That's what they want to do. I've been saying it forever. I've proved it so many times. Yet people don't, the only way, even at this stage, is if they can, you can sort of stop that, is everybody starts, but even right now on the internet, the real controversial topics no one wants to talk about. No one wants to, I don't know, like, and, Trump gave us a lifeline in 2024. He ordered the social media companies not to, that's how I got my YouTube back, because I was banned before that. But now it's again, going towards authoritarianism. And, I don't know, man. I mean, people in general are pathetic. Like, and the other thing that I noted on my own website for today was, like, these liberal whites, and especially Jews, if you see, the only people they attack are sandy niggers. Sand niggers, whatever the hell they won't ever attack a white boy and they're not even white themselves. I don't even think Jews can be considered to be white. I mean, yeah, Trump, Charlie Kirk, and these people, yeah, they it's horrible. These Jews were celebrating when Charlie Kirk was shot. It's just horrible. Ben, I remember him. He was literally, he wasn't having a party, but he was happy. And he said it. He was like, I'm happy that this happened. He's like, I never really liked him, but I'm happy it happened. And, this is the problem. And it all boils down to guns and gun ownership. I've always been a very strident supporter of the Second Amendment and, the right to bear firearms. And it should be there in more nations, believe me. Because in some places, you really have to jump through a bunch of hoops to get it. I mean, I'd rather go to Illinois and $10, bang, bang, within a month, your card shows up, your FOID or whatever the hell they call that firearm, owner's identification card, it shows up and boom. Doesn't mean you get a concealed carry, but at least, you can apply for that. But even in America these days, the laws in New York have made it so hard to own a gun, man, because if they don't want to give you a seat at the table, the only solution, unless you're willing to be enslaved, is boom, boom, boom. You gotta fight. It's never, in my life, every time I discuss something with somebody, they don't want to discuss things with me because they know I'm right. But it's not even that. They don't want to give me a seat at the... Like, I remember, I went to this gay college once, for a master's in business administration, and there was a so-called debate. A whole bunch of females were there. All they were doing was yelling. I said one thing, and the whole fucking debate stopped. Then some woman was like, Kamala Harris, oh, wait. At that point, I just gave up because it was so rude, and nobody was letting each other speak, and Of course, some fat bitch later, you have an accent. And I'm like, no, bitch, you got an accent. And then, of course, there was an Indian professor, and he's like, this is India. This is India. This not America. If your phone ring in class, I will rusticate you from, or not rusticate, that's British, but I will rusticate you. And I'm like, dude, me, phone. I don't even fucking answer the phone. You're a faggot. And he didn't say that, but he felt it. And needless to say, they didn't. It was a shit college anyway. They wouldn't even report back. You had to go to them and ask them. They're supposed to put a list out of people or whatever. They wouldn't even do that. You're supposed to go to them and ask them. Yeah, I don't think ask. Ben does. I don't. But Ben never passed high school because he had ADHD and he's a fucking retard. He's sterile, he has a tiny pee-pee, he sucks cock, he does all those things, on the sly, and then he comes out and says, Raul has these horrible, nasty fetishes, and he calls me Lola, and I don't know, how stupid do you have to be, Ben? You're a fucking idiot. I mean, quite literally, you're a fucking idiot. And I'm saying it to your face right now. There's nothing, if you were here right now, I would say it to your face. No guns, no violence, no fighting. You are a fucking idiot. It's just clear as daylight. All you can do is run to mommy. And, when you don't have a seat at the table, this is the only option remaining, unless you're willing to be enslaved. And when they do give you a seat at the table, I think, I've been watching some Nick Fuentes stuff. I really like this guy, Nick Fuentes, and I've said it many times. And every time someone wants to talk to him, it's like they're giving him a lecture. Maybe because he's younger, but, they try and lecture Trump. They try and lecture me. They try and lecture, And he asked them, who the fuck are you? And this is something I have asked people that try and lecture me all the time. Who are you? What the fuck have you done in your own life? That you're telling me things, it's not like we, the sort of person Fuentes is, I am, walk around trying to tell people what to do. We don't even talk to people, especially not women. I mentioned that story of the fat slave last night. The one I mentioned at the start of this video, cleavage and all that. Why do you smoke? And I'm like, who the hell are you to tell me? And she's like this, sorry, sir. And I'm like, why? You're talking about health? And I point to her belly. You got a big belly, and you're talking about health to me. Oh, what can I do? I'm so busy. I'm like, that's fine if you're, gonna be disingenuous. There's always something you can do, but at least don't. She's like, no, I wasn't talking about your health. You're in perfect condition. I was talking about, you're such a nice guy. You're from, she calls me rich, and I'm like, and you're not supposed to smoke. And I'm like, who the hell made the rule that I'm not supposed to smoke? And then I had to explain to her, because right now I'm in a middle-class colony, which is in the middle, and she knows this. She knows this. I had to tell her the rich and the poor do everything. It's only the gay in the middle, squeezed like oranges, middle class, that are idiots. And, they want everything, but they do nothing. And, she's like, yeah, I knew it. I'm like, hey, you're so worried about my health, come. And I used the term which Indians do, press. Like, they say press for massage. Indian English is so cute. And I'm like, come press my feet all night, bitch. She's like this, at night? I'm like, you're the one that's so concerned about my health, aren't you? And then, it's another pet peeve of mine. People asking me why I do things. First of all, it's none of your business. Second, you already know why. Third, I tell you, but then you want to argue it and you want to convince me that your way is better than mine. Like, let's be honest, me smoking isn't really affecting anyone, So why would people try and convince me not to do, I care about you, but then these same people drink, they're fat, So, but they won't make the change in their own life, And it's just, it's just so fucking annoying. But yeah, people just don't want to give remotely masculine men a seat at the table. It's been going on for ages. I've said it forever. And, people wonder why all these shootings happen, why people, it's just because a section of men have decided that, and I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying school shootings are right. I'm not saying you should go out there and just kill innocent people in a mall or, what happened in Nevada. I don't even know. But there was another shooting somewhere in a suburb or something. I think in a suburb. I'm not saying it's right, but when you push a man beyond a certain point, they said this in Rambo, killing is as easy as breathing, and it literally is. You just look at what they're doing to anyone, and people haven't, noticed it, or if they've noticed it, they don't care. And so, yeah, I was going to write about this, but it really, the latest YouTube, I had to tell YouTube, you can suck my dick, no, you can't actually, it's nasty. I mean, YouTube is too nasty for it, but basically that's what I told them. If YouTube is not even going to let me say Hitler had a cool stash, that's all I said. It's just, and of course, fucking idiots, all these trolls on that channel of mine. These trolls, nobody listens to them. It's only the bots that look at their pathetic excuses, even if you can even call them blogs or channels or whatever. They're fat, they're out of shape, they have no money, and, they're married to fucking negative 2,000 midgets. And these midgets control every moment of their fucking lives, And, this is all they can do is hit report. And coincidentally, most of them are Jewish, and I don't believe in coincidence. Boogie woogie, isn't that a surprise? The Jews, I mean, let's be honest, I'm not a racist person, but these people literally want to enslave everybody. The only reason the Jews keep talking well about India and stuff like that is because Indians are so damn stupid, the vast majority, that they think, oh yeah, they really like us. And Indians have this colonial hangover, and Jews are kind of white, so they could pass for being white. Well, so could I, but not my hair. The hair test, maybe not, maybe I could. I could simply, I can do what I like, but that they, and so they want to control the large population of India. They couldn't do it with the Chinese. The Chinese are smart motherfuckers. And of course, Russia is just going to blow them off the face of the map if they even try that shit. But, which is all well and good, but this, control, all pervasive. Anyway, this is why, a couple of weeks ago, I started a social media thing on my own channel. Now, that social media feature is going to be put on another website, which I gave some people a sneak preview of, but it's not, there's a lot of problems, and I got a lot of shit to get done, and I'm a one-man army at this point because, although I'm not saying that's the best way, but it is what it is for now. So, I haven't even got my other website back up, but whatever. People talk a lot of shit about Donald J. Trump. Results-wise, people are starting to realize what I have realized for the past 10 years. The cabal and its plan. But fight, fight, fight. You have to really fight to get to a level that the cabal actually cares about you. If you're a nobody, they won't even give a shit. And for me, I'd just like to say this. The reason I still support Donald Trump, and I always have, always will, because I am extremely loyal. All my friends know it. Unless you fuck with me, and if you fuck with me beyond a certain point, it's the other extreme. But Trump, to me, has been a masculine man, anti-feminist, and the anti-feminism, because I've dealt with that shit all my life, and, is really, and he's still that way, Now you can talk about Iran and all the global bullshit, but Trump is doing what he has to do. Let's just be honest. I mean, everybody is in it for themselves. You look at other politicians, at least Trump is trying, he's doing what he can. If you didn't have Trump right now, you guys would already have chips in your brain. He is in a very interesting situation. He's in the middle and, I guess you could say playing both sides or whatever. I don't know. But I like Trump, and I'm not going to, let politics, which is total bullshit and gay anyway, it's all controlled. I'm not saying it's not important. It obviously is. But, But that's it. It's a bit of a rant. I don't know. Sometimes I just get on to rant with no agenda in mind. And, fight, fight, fight. And the more you don't give people a seat at the table, the more you cut off a certain subsect of people, the more they're going to, a certain portion of those people are going to come after you. Now, I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying that's good or bad, but it's right. Because you cannot, and in my case, it's always, these pseudo-whites like Ben that are Jewish and not really white anyway. I've never had a problem with white guys. If a white guy had a problem with me, they come to me and they tell me and we settle it. Boom, boom, boom. Black guys, not really. Never, actually. But these Jewish sorts, I used to talk about Palestine way back in 2002 on Don't Want Expat. And, of course, the Jews all had to jump on me. Rahul, have you seen what they do in Israel? Yeah, I don't think Palestine is killing Israeli children and chopping their limbs off. It's just, it's always a fucking Jew is what it is. Always a fucking Jew that I've had a problem with, maybe it'll get me banned again for saying it. Fuck you. I've been saying this forever, I'm sick and tired of, I wouldn't have said it like that, but really, if you just say somebody's got a cool stash, and this other guy, our court jester, let's just use him as an example, he goes on a rant saying Hitler was the most terrible person, and he doesn't get, So you're actively promoting his point of view, or the majority point of view, and you're actually, the minority is being suppressed. And these same people say they care about the minorities. No, you don't. That's neither a democracy, neither is it fair. Hitler was a good person, I believe, for his own people that did some wrong, bad things, even to his own people. Nobody ever talks about the German, not quite a genocide, but the Germans, the native Germans, who really had no say in the matter, were slaughtered a lot after World War II. I don't remember the exact time frame, but the months immediately after. Nobody talks about that. And, most people say Hitler was a terrible person, this, that, but hey, The American highway system is modeled on the Autobahn, in Germany. Roosevelt went to Germany, he picked it up from there. Don't believe me? Go check the history fucking books. Winners write the history, right? But even the winners have said they got it from Germany, Uh, they want to enslave every truly masculine man. Boom, 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 boom. Welcome to Texas, motherfucker. Later.